Hello, welcome to Oracle Apex Hands-on Labs. My name is Chaitanya and I'm a product manager on the Oracle Apex team. Today, I'm going to walk you through the building an application from a spreadsheet hands-on lab. I'm going to use the newly launched Oracle Apex Application Development Service to perform the hands-on labs today. What do you need for the hands-on lab today? You need to sign up for Oracle Cloud Free tier account. Navigate to cloud.oracle.com/free and sign up for an Oracle Cloud Free tier account. You need the Apex Hands-on Labs guide, so go to apex.oracle.com/hols. The lab that we're going to do today would approximately take 45 minutes. Once you go to cloud.oracle.com/free and click to sign up for an Oracle Cloud Free tier account, you see this page. Enter your account information and proceed with the sign-up process. Basically, you will be signing up for a free cloud account, and then once you are in the OCI console, you will create an Apex service. In the hands-on lab page, you see Spreadsheet Lab, and this is the one we will be doing today using the Oracle Apex Application Development Service. We've already completed step 1, which is creating a free tier account. And then once the sign-up process is complete, you'll be logged in automatically to the OCI console. If you have closed the browser, go to your inbox and look for Get Started Now with Oracle Cloud email. Make a note of your username, password, and cloud account name, and then you go to cloud.oracle.com and then log in using your cloud account name. I already have an Oracle Cloud Free tier account, which I'm going to use today for the hands-on lab. So now that I have logged into OCI console, I click the navigation menu here. Once I do this, I need to scroll down until I see database related services, and underneath that, I see Apex Application Development, Apex Instances. So I click Apex Instances. For your information, when I did choose a region, I picked up Hyderabad as my home region for my Oracle Cloud Free trial account. You can choose a home region of your choice. So the next step, what I did is I went to the navigation menu here, scroll down, and then database related services. Then I look for Apex Application Development, Apex Instances. So I'm on this page now. The next thing that I'll be doing is creating an Apex services. You don't need to bother about what's there on the screen here because I already have Apex services created and I also stopped them. Let's just quickly take a look at the hands-on lab guide. So where we are right now, we are at the Apex instances. And then the next thing we will be doing is create an Apex service. We'll be inputting the admin username, a password, and then the service will be created for us. However, make sure that you, once you have your service done and you are done with the hands-on lab, you can stop the Apex service from consuming your trial credit, right? You need to just stop the autonomous database behind it. As displayed on the screen here, just go to your autonomous database that has been created, and then you just need to stop the service. Under more actions, you have stop button over here. Just click that one so that your cloud credits are not consumed after the hands-on lab or your exercises. Okay, so let's go back here. And then what I'm going to do is go and create Apex service. I can pick up a compartment of my choice. I would stick to root, scrolling down. And now here I would input my administration username, administrator user password, and then confirm password. So I input the password, confirm password, accept the all remaining defaults as is, scroll down and click Create Apex Service. Now let's go back to the hands-on lab guide. Okay, so here we are. So far, we have created an Apex service. And the next thing, what you see is the service would be provisioning for you. And in a couple of minutes, probably 1 to 3 minutes, you will have the Apex service available up and running for you to do the hands-on lab. So let's go to Apex instances. It still shows provisioning for me. And once this is done, what you will be doing is you will be launching Apex, and then you will be creating an administration user. So you'll be creating a workspace by navigating to the administration interface. Let's go here. Still shows provisioning for me. Okay, now that my Apex service is available, it shows available from provisioning. I click Launch Apex. And this launches the admin interface wherein I create a workspace for me to perform the hands-on labs today. So I see the administration services and I enter the password and click sign into administration. Now I'm going to create a workspace. A workspace is basically a private area in your database for you to create your Apex applications. So clicking create workspace, and then I create a database user here. Let's see, low code 1, and then input the password. The workspace name is automatically picked up from the database username. So create workspace. Workspace is now being created for me. And now I'm in administration user interface. Now I see here low code 1, which is my workspace created. Either I can sign out from this location and then I can sign into the workspace, or else I just click this one and that directs me to the workspace login page. Low code 1, and enter the password. Click sign in, and now I'm in the Apex workspace. So this shows the workspace homepage, and I will be performing the hands-on lab in this particular workspace. So once I log into the workspace, I see App Builder, SQL Workshop, Team Development, and App Gallery. So today I'm going to use App Builder to build an application. So let's see what I'm going to do today. I'll be creating an application from a spreadsheet, and then I'll be improving the faceted search report. I improve the report and form, and finally I link the calendar. So there are 4 labs basically in this hands-on lab, and each lab has some steps. So let me walk you through each of the steps. By now, you should be able to create an Oracle Cloud free trial account, and then you should be able to create an Apex development service trial, and then you will be able to provision an Apex service. So once you have an Apex service up and running, then you have created a workspace, and then now you're in the workspace homepage to perform the hands-on lab. So let's take a look at the first lab, create an application from a spreadsheet. You can use spreadsheet data to build an application on top of that. Basically, you load spreadsheet data into Apex and you build an application on top of that. Let's see how we can do these steps. Okay, so loading project and tasks. Let's go through the steps one by one. From your workspace homepage, click App Builder. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the interface. And from here, I see click App Builder. Clicking App Builder, that navigates me to a page where I see create a new app and install a productivity or sample app. So in this hands-on lab, the first thing that I'm going to do is create a new application. So click create a new app. Now I see a new application from a file and productivity app. I want to like to create an application from a file. Basically, I'm going to load some sample data, which is a spreadsheet data that is built in or default that comes with Apex. So clicking from a file, now I'm in the load data wizard. So either I can drag and drop a spreadsheet file, a CLS, CSV, or XLSX, or XML, or JSON, or text, or I can copy and paste data. Now, in lab one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste the data. So I click that, and then here I will be using the sample data. So I'm using project and task sample data. I loaded the data, and then I click next. The data is loaded. So let me just click next button. And now I can input a new table name, or I can use an existing table. We are here for the first time. So let me input the table name. And you see in your hands-on lab guide, the table name is project underscore tasks. So entering the table name, scrolling down, you can click configure and review the columns to be loaded. But at this point of time, we're not doing all those things. I'm directly going to get the data loaded. So click load data. So I hit load data, and now you see a spinner, and the wizard finishes off by loading the data. All right, so the table project tasks is created with 73 rows. So basically, behind the scenes, Apex picked up the data, the spreadsheet data, and then created a database table on top of the data, and on top of which we'll be building an application now. So let's go to step 2, creating an application. So in this particular step, we'll be creating an application, and then in the third step, we'll be running and exploring the application. So let's go to the Apex interface. So right now, I can actually create an application, but that's not something that I'm going to do in the hands-on lab today. I'm going to view the table definition, and then I will create an application on top of that. So let's click View Table. Now I'm in Object Browser, where I see the table definition. If I click Data, I can see the table data as well, right? So let me go to Table. And now I see this is the table created, and then I click Create App to create the table, right? Click Create App again. And now this navigates me to the Create Application wizard, where I review the default pages that Apex offers me, and then I can make some changes over there. If required, I would like to add a new page, I can add so, or else I can simply accept the defaults and go ahead and then create an application. Okay, so create an application project task, which is actually the table name that has been picked up. Scrolling down, and I see features all, where check all. Yeah, I can click check all so that I can have all of the features into my application. So if you want to review what a page would, and you can want to make any changes to your page, just click edit here, and then you can review, you can make the changes that you want. So this opens a page dialog, right? At this point of time, I don't have any such things, any such changes. So I'm just clicking check all for features and then click create application. So my application will be created now. You'll see the application creation progress in the screen, right? As it progresses, let's go to the step 3 and see what we have to perform. In step 3, I'll be running the application. I'll be using the login credentials, the username and password, which is the database username and password that I have used while creating a workspace. And then I will review the application. I'll go through each of the page and see what each page looks like. Okay, so now that the application has been created for me, I see the pages. Let me just click Run Application. Click in Run Application. Input the username and password. Low code 1 is my username and the password. Click Sign In. Now I'm in the Project Tasks application. And if I click left navigation menu, I see the pages over here, and I also see the cards of each of the page, right? I see dashboard, project task search, project task report, calendar, and the navigation menu, I also have home and I also have administration. So let me just click dashboard first. Clicking dashboard, you will see a bar and pie charts beautifully displayed based on the data from the spreadsheet that has been loaded. And then the next one is project task search, which is basically a faceted search page. So you see a report to the right side, and to the left side, you see facets over here. So you might want to just click one of the charts here. Let's just click the chart icon over there, and then you see a bar chart displayed. You can toggle between a bar and pie chart. It also displays the facets count and displays the row count here. So if you make any of the changes in the facets, that gets reflected, gets filtered, the report gets filtered accordingly. So let's click John Watson and assign to, and you see how the report has changed. Nicely built the reports. The filters. Okay, so let me just clear this guy and clear this guy as well. So this is about faceted search. We'll make some changes to the faceted search page later on. And then let's click interactive report, which is project task report. An interactive report basically is a report that allows for end user customization in Apex. So you can perform all sorts of customization by navigating to actions and then scrolling down. Right. We'll do some of them in the hands-on lab today. At this point of time, let's just click the edit icon over here, and then you see that a dialog page has been opened. So you can make some more changes, maybe check something else. For example, in the cost, you just enter and change it to the text and say apply changes. It throws a validation error. So it's all built in. Okay, so the next one is a calendar. So we're exploring calendar page at this point of time, and then we'll make some changes to the calendar. So hover over the entries in the calendar, and then you see the project start date actually. So we'll make some changes also. We also have administration. We're not touching this in the hands-on lab, but you might want to play around with this as well. Okay, so let's do the next lab, which is lab 2. Okay, let's see what's there in lab 2. So lab 2 is improving the faceted search. So what we have here, we have two steps here. The first step is enhancing the status facet, and the second step is collapsing facets. Let's click enhancing the status facet. So you have already noticed what the status facet would look like. So let's go to the Apex running environment, and you click project task search on the home page. This opens up the faceted search page. Now scroll down. You see that the status is here, and then you see that the status has some checkboxes. So we're going to make some changes to the status facet as well. So let us see, review the steps. First one, so the first thing is you want to move the status so that it is placed between projects and assigned to. Okay. And then you're going to make some more changes as well. So let's first go to the status facet and then move the status facet up. Okay, so let's go here and then click Edit Page Tree in the Developer toolbar. Now you are navigated to the Page Designer. You'll be spending a pretty amount of time in Page Designer, wherein you'll be performing all sorts of enhancements to your application components. Okay, now so we are in the Page Designer, and then what you're going to do is select status, P3 status, hold this, and drag and drop this underneath projects. Sorry, underneath project. So you see search project status and assign to in sequence. So you have status over here, and then continue to select the status. And then in the right pane, you see, basically Page Designer is divided into three panes: the left pane, the layout pane, this is the middle pane, and then the property editor, which is the right pane. So if you select a particular component over here on the page, which is P3 status here, you see the corresponding properties are displayed in the property editor. So P3 status has been selected. You already noticed that this is a status which is a checkbox. Hardly people would select multiple checkboxes. So you would like to move this or enhance this to be as a radio group. So what you do is go to Page Designer, and we have different types of facets. So change this to radio group. And then we need to do one more thing. Just scroll down a little bit. And you see zero count entries here, which is hidden at the moment. So what we do is we change them to show last. And then you save the changes. You can save and run the page actually. So you just click save and run the page. Now you should see status being moved under project. So it's displayed between project and assigned to. So here you see, and then status has changed to radio group now. So select one of these, and then you should see the report is filtered and refreshed accordingly. So change to on hold now, so it gets refreshed accordingly. Click the clear link so that the filter goes off, and then we're all good. So let's move to the next step, which is step 2. So in step 2, what you'll be doing is you will be collapsing facets. So you see assigned to a cost and other ones which are displayed here. So after status, assigned to budget and cost. So these are expanded by default. So let them have change to be collapsible by default when you get to the page. So for this, what you need to do is go to the Page Designer again, or else go to the tab, or else you click edit page. That takes you to the particular Page Designer. And then you see, you select assign to, budget, and cost. And then in the property editor to the right, scroll down, and you see initially collapsed. Turn this on. Now save and run the page. Now, if you see here, you have just project status only expanded. The remaining 3 assigned to budget and cost are collapsed by default initially. So this completes a lab 2. And then let's move to lab 3. And let's see what is there in lab 3. Lab 3 has improve the report and form. So lab 3 has 2 steps. One is step 1 and step 2. Step 1 is enhancing the interactive report, and step 2 is enhancing the form. So let's do the first one, step 1, enhancing the interactive report. And let's see what are the steps here. So the first thing is creating a control break on the project column heading. So let's navigate to the Apex running environment, and you see here project tasks report in the navigation menu. Click that. That displays the interactive report for you. So as mentioned in the step, let's click project column heading and then click control break here. We hover over there, it displays control break, click that one. And now you see a control break has been created on projects. So we scroll down, you see all of the projects over here, each of the projects. The next thing that you would like to do is the next step, which is step 3, where you add a computational column basically. So you go to actions data and click compute, and then you create a computed column, budget versus cost. Basically, we have 2 columns, budget and cost. So let's create a computational column on top of these 2. So to do this, go to actions, go to data, and click compute. And now you see new computation, give a column label, for example, budget versus cost, and then give a format mask, which I'm picking $, and then a computation expression, say I minus H, which is budget minus cost. Scroll up a little bit and click apply. So this would create a computational column for me. So I would see budget versus cost across computed and then displayed in the report for me. So this is all what an end user can do, and you have so many other things that you can play around. So let's do the next step here. What is the next step? The next step is, after the computational column, the next thing is creating an aggregate as in step 5. So to do this, what you do is go to actions and then go to data, create an aggregate. New aggregation, function is sum, accept the default as is. And for column, select the computational column list. So just create it and say apply. This creates an aggregate on the budget versus cost, and it is displayed at the bottom of each of the control break, if you see here. Okay, scroll down and you see this. So the aggregate has been created. Now you're not just happy with these things, but you would like to create something more. So what you do is go to the next step and create a chart. So let's quickly review what's there in the particular step. So we have actions and then select chart in step 7, and then we have the details in step 8, when you will be inputting the project as a label, value is budget versus cost, function is sum, and the sorting can be label ascending, orientation is horizontal. Let's see how we can create a chart. Okay, so come to actions and go to chart, and now you see here the chart dialog. So for label, let's select project, and for value, let's select budget versus cost. And for function, let's select sum. And for sort, let's select label ascending. And then for orientation, let's choose horizontal and say apply. Now, once you click apply, you see the chart has been displayed for you. So you have just hover over each of the chart components, and then you see the values, the project name, the task name, and then the corresponding budget versus cost value. So now you can toggle between the chart view and the report view. So click the report view now. So you should be able to toggle between these two. The next thing that you're going to do is scroll down a little bit. You create an aggregate, you created a chart. So what's the next step? The next step is sorting. So step 9, where you sort the data, right? So you go to view report and then actions data and perform the sorting on start date, end date. So let's go back to Apex running environment. Right now you're in chart view. So click view report so that you are in a report view. And then once you're in report view, go to actions, go to data and click sort. Now the sort dialog is displayed. So in the second column, if you see select column, so the second row, you see for the column name, select start date. And the third column you're going to be selecting is end date. And then here for null sorting, you choose null always last actually, and say apply. So your sorting is done. And then let's move to the next step. Okay, now going to the hands-on lab guide. So let's scroll down a bit and see the next task is to save the report. So you can save the reports that interactive report, and you can save as default report settings. So let's see what we can do. We can save as alternative and give it a name as budget review. So let's go to the Apex environment, and then here under actions, go to report, click save report. You see as name report and as default report settings. So let us click as default report settings, and then the default report type should be alternative. Give it a name. Let's see, budget review, and then say apply. That gets applied, and then the report gets saved. The next thing that you can do is you see budget review, which is an alternative report, and you also have primary report here. So you can toggle between these two types of reports now. primary report and alternative report. Okay. So now that you have done almost all of the modifications, so why don't we just get rid of the customization in the primary report so it just gets intact as is it was as earlier. So we are in the primary report view now. So let's click reset. So the customization is all removed. And then you would see the primary report as is it was in the earlier state, which you still be having the customized budget review to go through. So this is the budget review, and the primary report. The primary report has all of the customizations removed. Okay, so this concludes lab 3, step 1. Okay, so let's take a look at what's there in the next step. Next step in this lab is enhancing the form. Okay, now we already noticed that the interactive report has an edit link, which you click to edit the particular form page, which will use to navigate to the form dialog where you can make some changes and say apply changes that gets reflected in the report. So we'll be making some changes. Let's see what we do here in this. Enhancing the form. So you will edit the page, and then what we do is we move the end date and start date so that they are displayed adjacent to each other. And then we will also change the budget so that it's not displayed in the new row. And finally, we'll change the status page item to be as a select list. It's a text item at this moment, so we'll change this to select list. Let's do these steps one by one. So let's go to the Workspace, Apex environment, and then here you see the interactive report. So click the edit icon that navigates you to the dialog, to the form dialog. To edit this particular dialog, form dialog, click edit page 5 over here, which takes you to the page designer. Now here, what you're going to do, the first thing is in the layout, you will see start date and end date. So what you do is just select end date and move this next to start date. The next thing that you want to do for budget is select budget, and in the right pane, which is the project, so the property editor, you see here under layout, start new row. So deselect this one, turn off that one. The other thing that you're going to change is status. So if you see status at the moment, status is basically a text field. So how nice it is if you change this to a select list. So you can just select and then say apply changes. Let me just close this guy now. So you come back to page designer, and in here from text field, moving this to select list. And then now you see an error message over here. So we will be making the changes. So what you do is scroll down a little bit, and then you, for a list of values, select SQL query. So we'll be entering a SQL query now. For display extra values, so deselect this one. And for null display value, let's enter something, select status. And then now you come to SQL query. We have the project task table created. So let us create, let us enter a SQL query on. So select distinct status D, status R from project tasks order by 1. So this is the SQL query that displays the list of values. Save it. You can't save and run the page. It would show a message otherwise if you just try to run this. So let's go back to the report now, and now you just click one of these edit links. So here you see start date and end date are adjacent to each other, cost and budget, because budget is moved into the next to is cost. And then for status, you see, so this is now a select list, right? So let's close this dialog as well, and let's move to the next lab. Okay, so the next lab is link the calendar. So we are done with lab 3 and now let's go to the lab 4, which is link the calendar, which is having two steps. Step 1 is improving the calendar. Step 2 is linking the calendar. So let's click step 1, improving the calendar. Let's see what steps we have to do in this particular lab. So step 1, improving the calendar. So the first thing is you would take a look at the calendar, and then you would edit, navigate to the page designer, and then you would make some changes to the attributes. So where you will, instead of project name, you would choose the display column to be task name, and then you would choose end date as well to be displayed, and finally save and run the changes. You would then review the page and make some more changes. So you would clear the end date so it doesn't look good maybe, and then you save and run the pages to see that. And then let's proceed to the step 2 later on. So let's go and perform step 1. Okay, so in the Apex environment, so let's click calendar in the application. And now you hover over these things, you see that it just displays the project name and also the start date. So let's click edit page 6 in the developer toolbar that navigates to the page designer. In the left pane, you see calendar, and in the right side, you see region and attributes. So we need attributes right now, so click attributes. The display column, we want to change this to task name. Start date column is good. End date, let's change this to end date. And then save and run the page to see how it looks like. Okay, so now if you hover over, it displays the task name, the start date, and end date. However, the look doesn't look good to me. So let me make some changes. So what I would like to do is get rid of the end date, and let's see how the display would be. Going back to the page designer again, this time what I'm going to do is for end date column, just removing that entry, save and run the page to see how it looks like. It looks much better now. So I just hover over and I see the task name and the start date. Okay, so now we are done with step 1 and let's move to step 2 in this linking the calendar. So what you do is, we already noticed that we have an interactive report where you click the edit link and that navigates you to the form dialog. So we will be linking that particular form dialog to the calendar here, so you can make some changes and that gets reflected in the calendar. Okay, so let's do those changes. Let's link the calendar first. Go here, go to edit page 6, or just edit the same tab again. So now what you do is, in your attributes, the calendar being selected here in the left pane, in your attributes, scroll down a bit and you see here, view edit link, no link defined. So click no link define, and this takes you to the view edit link dialog page. In the target, for type page in this application, for page, select page 5, project tasks. For set items, it's P5 ID because it's page number 5, which is the form page. And ID, basically you're trying to link, you're just trying to set the items. And then for clear cache, enter file. It's the same page as the form page. Okay. And then you see, okay. All right. So we need to do something else as well in this step. Let's take a look at what that is. So going to the hands-on lab guide again, scrolling down a bit. Okay, so it's important that the calendar it gets updated whenever the task name or the start date or something else is changed using the new link. So what we need to do for this is we need to create a dynamic action. Okay, so let's do that and then test it. So go back to the page designer, and then now right click calendar, create dynamic action. Okay, so now you see a dynamic action is created. We need to edit the properties, give the dynamic action a different name. Let's give refresh calendar. And then for event, it is dialog closed because the moment it's closed, the changes should be reflected in the calendar. Select and type is region, region is calendar, all good. Now you come to show here, select show in the left pane. And then here for action, select refresh. Why is that? Here. And then for selection type, it should be region. And for region, it should be calendar. Now let's save and run the page to see. If you now point or hover over, it shows displays a link. So just click this one and it displays you the form page, which is good. Let's make some changes to see if it works or not, the dynamic action that we have created. So clicking the page, let's change one of the days, a start date. Let's say change it to from 2nd to 3rd December and say apply changes. The moment I say apply changes, the calendar gets refreshed and it gets updated like this. All right, so that concludes the hands-on lab. So let's quickly review what we have done today. Okay, so the first thing that we did today is signed up for an Oracle Cloud free trial account. And then what we did is we provisioned an Oracle Apex development service. So what we did is we went to the OCI console and then we signed up, we created an Apex instance. And then once you have the Apex instance, then you that page, then you create an Apex service. And once you have the Apex service up and running, then you created a workspace and then you perform the hands-on lab in the workspace. So what we did as part of the hands-on lab is we created an application from a spreadsheet. So straight away, all the way from the data that has been loaded from a spreadsheet into Apex interface, you created an Apex application. Actually, underneath that, a database table was created, and on top of that, you created an application. So you ran the application, and then you reviewed the and explored the application. And then the next step in the next lab is improving the faceted search. We saw that there are different types of reports that have been created, and then faceted search is the default report that has been created on the data. So we enhanced the status facet. We also played around with collapsing the facets. In the next lab, what we did is we played around with the interactive report. Then we enhanced the form. We changed the position of the particular fields in the form, and then we also changed the status to be from text field to be a select list. In lab 4, which is the last lab that we did today, we linked calendar. We have a calendar created. So we improved the calendar so that the display looks good. And then we link the calendar so that it's get redirected the moment you click to your form dialog. And then we also created dynamic action, and also the changes are reflected in the calendar. So what started as a spreadsheet data, you built a fully functional Apex application in today's hands-on lab. For more information, I would recommend you to go to apex.oracle.com. For more information about Apex, you might want to go to apex.oracle.com. So this concludes the hands-on lab for today. Thank you so much.